They'll tell you it's talent, that success belongs to the gifted, the lucky, the chosen few. But that's a lie. The truth is, talent is overrated. The world is filled with wasted potential. People who are born with natural ability, but never push themselves to master it. What separates the great from the forgotten isn't talent. It's discipline. Discipline is what wakes you up before the sun rises while others sleep. It's what keeps you practicing long after the excitement fades. It's the quiet, relentless force that turns effort into excellence. If you've ever felt like you weren't good enough, like you didn't have what it takes, let me tell you something. You don't need to be special. This book isn't about raw ability. It's about the habits, mindset, and daily actions that forge success. If you've ever wondered why some people achieve greatness while others fall short, this is where you'll find the answer. It's not talent. It's discipline. And by the time you finish this book, you'll understand why. Subscribe to never miss books like this one. Chapter 1. The Talent Myth. Why natural ability won't save you. They'll tell you success is about talent, that the best athletes, the greatest musicians, the wealthiest entrepreneurs were simply born with something special, a gift, an ability the rest of us could never have. But that's a lie, a comforting one, sure, because it gives people an excuse. I wasn't born with it, so why even try? Look at the real world. And you'll see a different story. The most talented people don't always win. The most disciplined ones do. Think about it. How many people have you seen with incredible natural ability? But they never go anywhere. Maybe they had the potential to be great, but they never put in the work. They coasted on talent, thinking it would always be enough. Then one day, they looked around and realized they'd been passed up by the person who showed up every single day and did the work. Because talent gives you a head start, but discipline determines how far you'll go. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Stephen King's first novel was rejected over 30 times. J.K. Rowling was a broke, single mother when she wrote Harry Potter. Were they born with talent? Maybe. But did that talent guarantee their success? No. What made the difference was discipline, the ability to push forward when everything was telling them to quit. Discipline is what separates the people who dream from the people who achieve. It's what makes the difference between wasted potential and undeniable greatness. And the best part, unlike talent, discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. So, if you've ever told yourself you're not good enough, that you don't have the talent, stop right there. Because you don't need talent. You need effort, consistency, and the willingness to do what others want. This book is going to show you how. Chapter 2. Discipline over motivation. The key to long-term success: motivation feels good. It's the rush of inspiration after watching an athlete break records, the fire in your chest after hearing a powerful speech. It's that surge of energy when you decide to change your life. But here's the problem. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the wind, and if you depend on it, you'll fail. That's why discipline matters more. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline will keep you going. The people who succeed at the highest level aren't the ones who feel inspired every day. They're the ones who show up, even when they don't want to. They put in the work when they're tired, when they're bored, when they'd rather be doing anything else. You know the feeling. You wake up early, ready to tackle your goals. Day 1 feels amazing. Day 2, still good. But by day 5, the excitement starts to fade. By day 10, you're finding reasons to skip. That's where most people stop, right when things get hard. But discipline pushes through that wall. Think about the greatest athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs. Do you think they wake up every day feeling excited to train, practice, or grind? No. But they do it anyway, because they understand something most people don't. Success isn't about how you feel in the moment. It's about what you do, regardless of how you feel. Discipline is a habit. It's built through repetition. The more you train yourself to do the work, even when you don't feel like it, the stronger that habit becomes. Eventually, it stops being a struggle and becomes a part of who you are. So, the next time you feel unmotivated, remember this: it doesn't matter. What matters is what you do next. Will you wait for motivation to return, or will you build the discipline to move forward without it? Because the people who win aren't the most inspired. They're the most disciplined. Chapter 3. The art of showing up everyday success isn't built in a single moment. It's not a breakthrough, a lucky break, or a flash of brilliance. It's built in the quiet, ordinary moments. The ones where no one is watching, where no one is cheering, and where nothing feels exciting. Success is built by showing up every single day. Most people think they need the perfect plan before they start. They wait for the right time, the right mood, the right opportunity. But the truth is, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is consistency, showing up, doing the work, and refusing to quit, even when the results aren't immediate. Look at the people who have mastered their craft. Writers who publish bestsellers don't write only when they feel inspired. They write daily, even when the words don't come easily. Athletes who dominate their sport don't train only when they feel strong. They train even when they're exhausted. Entrepreneurs who build empires don't work only when it's exciting. They push through the setbacks and failures. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. Some days, you'll crush it. Other days, you'll barely make progress. But even on your worst day, showing up still puts you ahead of the person who didn't. Because success isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do every day. If you can learn to show up, even when you don't want to, you'll separate yourself from the people who only work when it's easy. That's the real difference between success and failure. Not talent, not luck. Just the simple act of showing up over and over again until discipline becomes second nature. So ask yourself, are you willing to show up today? Even if you don't feel like it, even if no one notices, because that's what it takes. And if you can master that, you can master anything. Chapter 4. Excuses are easy. Execution is hard. Everyone has a reason why they can't do something. Too tired, too busy, not enough time, not enough resources. The list never ends. Excuses are easy. They give you an out, a way to justify staying exactly where you are. But excuses don't build anything. Execution does. Look around. The people who succeed aren't the ones who had perfect conditions. They're the ones who push through anyway. They found time when they had none. They worked with what they had. They made progress when others waited for the right moment. Because here's the truth. There is no right moment. There will always be obstacles, distractions, and reasons to quit. The difference between those who achieve and those who don't. The achievers refuse to let their excuses win. Think about the last time you told yourself you couldn't do something. Was it really impossible? Or was it just uncomfortable? Most of the time we don't lack the ability. We lack the willingness to do what's hard. And that's what separates the disciplined from the dreamers. Discipline is execution, even when it's inconvenient. It's writing when you don't feel like writing. Training when you don't feel like training. Making the call, putting in the hours, doing the work. No matter what excuse tries to stand in your way. So, the next time you hear that voice in your head, whispering reasons to stop, ask yourself, do I want results or do I want excuses? Because you can't have both. And the ones who succeed, they choose execution. Every time. Chapter 5. Mastering the boring work that builds greatness. Everyone wants the results. Success, recognition, mastery. But very few are willing to do the work it takes to get there, especially when that work is repetitive, tedious, and flat out boring. The truth no one talks about is this. Greatness isn't built on excitement. It's built on doing the same small, unglamorous tasks over and over again until they become second nature. The best athletes run the same drills thousands of times. The greatest musicians play the same scales endlessly. The most successful entrepreneurs refine the same processes, day after day. This is where most people fail. Not because they aren't talented, but because they aren't willing to embrace the boredom that leads to mastery. They want constant variety, instant results, and a shortcut to success. But there isn't one. The ones who win are the ones who can tolerate repetition, outlast distractions, and commit to doing the unexciting work that no one else wants to do. When you're chasing a goal, there will be days when it feels pointless. Days when you wonder if all the effort is even making a difference. But here's what separates the disciplined from the average. They do the work anyway. They trust the process, knowing that every small, repetitive action is sharpening their edge. If you can learn to love the work that others avoid, you will surpass them. If you can push through the boredom, you will outlast them. And if you can master the discipline of repetition, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Because success isn't about who works the hardest when it's exciting. It's about who keeps working when it's not. Chapter 6. The 1% Rule. Small efforts. Big results. Most people think success comes from massive action, huge leaps, overnight transformations, and sudden breakthroughs. But the truth, the biggest wins come from the smallest, most consistent efforts, the ones that barely seem to matter in the moment. This is the 1% rule. The idea that getting just 1% better every day leads to exponential growth over time. On its own, 1% improvement is almost unnoticeable, but compounded over weeks, months, and years, it's the difference between being average and being a light. Think about it. If you improve by just 1% every day for a year, you won't be 365% better. You'll be 3,800% better. That's the power of compounding. But the reverse is also true. If you let yourself slack by just 1% every day, you won't just stay the same. You'll fall behind. Most people fail because they chase quick results. They work hard for a few days, then quit when they don't see immediate progress. But the ones who succeed, they trust in the process. They know that every small effort, every extra rep, every extra page read, every extra hour of focused work adds up, even when it doesn't feel like it. Discipline is about playing the long game. Im's about choosing to make small, seemingly insignificant improvements every single day, knowing that those tiny efforts will eventually separate you from everyone else. So stop looking for the big breakthrough. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Just focus on getting 1% better today. And then do it again tomorrow. Because the ones who commit to that, they win every time. Chapter 7. Pain is temporary, but progress lasts. Pain is inevitable. Whether it's physical soreness after a hard workout, mental fatigue from pushing yourself past your limits, or the emotional discomfort of failure, pain is part of the journey to greatness. But here's the secret. Pain is temporary. The results you earn, the progress you make, that lasts. Everyone experiences discomfort along the path to success. It's a necessary part of growth. The key difference between those who succeed and those who fall short is how they respond to that pain. When things get tough, when the challenge feels overwhelming, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking it's just too much. You want to quit. But what if you could shift your perspective? What if, instead of seeing pain as a reason to stop, you saw it as evidence that you're getting closer to where you want to be? Think about athletes in training. Their muscles tear and rebuild stronger. Entrepreneurs face rejection after rejection. But each failure is a lesson that brings them closer to success. Writers endure long nights of frustration, but each word they write gets them one step closer to finishing the book. The pain won't last forever, but the progress will. And when you look back on your journey, the discomfort will fade away. What you'll remember are the results, the skills you've developed, the goals you've achieved, the person you've become. So, the next time you feel the urge to quit because of pain, remind yourself, this is temporary. The strength, the wisdom, the success, those are forever. Push through, keep going, because what you gain is worth far more than the discomfort you face today. Chapter 8. Why most people quit, and how you want quitting is easy. It's the path of least resistance, the comfortable escape when things get tough. It's tempting, especially when progress seems slow, when the sacrifices feel too heavy, or when failure hits hard. But here's the truth. The vast majority of people quit long before they ever come close to reaching their potential. What separates those who succeed from those who quit isn't talent, luck, or even intelligence. It's persistence, the ability to keep going when everything inside you is screaming to stop. The truth is, everyone faces challenges. Everyone hits roadblocks, doubts their abilities, and questions whether it's worth it. But the difference between the achievers and the quitters is that achievers keep going, even when they're not sure of the outcome. They trust the process, even when they can't see the finish line. Think about the hardest thing you've ever done. Did you feel like quitting at some point? Probably. But if you kept going, if you pushed through when it was easier to give up, that's where the growth happens. That's where discipline becomes a game changer. When most people quit, they don't realize they're just a few steps away from a breakthrough. They give up right before the magic happens. So, how do you avoid quitting? Simple. Commit to the process, not the outcome. Don't make success conditional on getting results immediately. Focus on the daily actions that move you forward, no matter how small they may seem. When you make the choice to never quit, no matter how hard it gets, you'll outlast those who give up too soon. And it's in that persistence that success is born. Chapter 9. Consistency is the ultimate superpower. We all want the quick fix, the shortcut that promises instant success. We want the magic formula, the one thing that will take us from where we are to where we want to be overnight. But the truth is, success doesn't come from sudden breakthroughs. It comes from consistent effort over time. Consistency is what separates the occasional achievers from the unstoppable ones. It's the quiet superpower that allows you to move forward, even when progress feels slow or invisible. It's easy to do something great once. The real challenge is doing it again and again. Look at the most successful people in any field. The one thing they all share is an unwavering commitment to consistency. They don't get distracted by the allure of shortcuts or easy success. They show up day in and day out, doing the work, even when it doesn't feel glamorous, even when the results aren't immediate. Whether you're trying to get in shape, write a book, build a business, or master a skill, the key is consistent action. The discipline to keep doing the right things, even when it's hard, is what makes the difference between good and great. If you want to become unstoppable, you need to make consistency your priority. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about showing up and doing your best, day after day, even on the days when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you don't feel like it. Because in the end, it's not about the massive steps you take. It's about the tiny, consistent actions that compound over time to create massive results. Consistency, done right, will turn the impossible into the inevitable. And once you master it, there's nothing you can't achieve. Chapter 10. The cost of success. Are you willing to pay it? Success isn't free. It's easy to look at someone who's achieved greatness and assume it came without sacrifice. But that's rarely the case. The truth is, every achievement comes with a price. The question is, are you willing to pay it? Success demands your time, your energy, and often your comfort. It asks you to give up some of your immediate pleasures for long-term gains. It requires delayed gratification, the ability to put in the work now, without expecting instant rewards. And it often means making tough choices, saying no to distractions, and staying disciplined when the world tries to pull you off course. When you choose to pursue greatness, you're not just choosing the rewards. You're choosing the sacrifice that comes with it. Think about the athletes who train for years to win an Olympic medal. They don't get to live like everyone else. They make sacrifices in their social life, their free time, and even their mental well-being. But they do it because they understand that the price of success is worth the reward. The same goes for anyone who's ever achieved greatness. Successful entrepreneurs give up hours of sleep to build their businesses. Writers sacrifice weekends to meet deadlines. Musicians forego nights out to practice. They all make a choice to pay the price of success. So, ask yourself, are you willing to make those sacrifices? Are you ready to put in the hours, do the work, and give up the comforts that stand between you and your dreams? Because success isn't easy, but if you're willing to pay the cost, the rewards will be far greater than anything you had to give up. Chapter 11. The difference between the good and the great. We all know what it's like to be good at something. We put in the effort, we learn the skills, and we get results. But then there are those who are great. They don't just perform at a high level. They dominate. They stand out, not because of raw talent, but because they've mastered the art of discipline. What separates the good from the great isn't the amount of effort. It's the quality of that effort. Good people work hard, but great people work strategically. They push themselves not just to work longer or harder, but to work smarter and with more focus. Greatness requires consistency, yes. But it also requires a relentless commitment to improvement. It's about always looking for ways to do things better, even when you're already performing well. It's about making the small adjustments that turn good into exceptional. Greatness isn't about natural ability. It's about mindset. It's about the relentless pursuit of becoming better, no matter where you are in the journey. And that pursuit is powered by discipline. The discipline to keep showing up, to keep learning, to keep refining your craft, even when you think you've mastered it. The difference between good and great is the willingness to push past comfort zones, to challenge yourself, even when you're already ahead of the pack. Good is acceptable. Great is what sets you apart. So ask yourself, are you satisfied with being good, or are you willing to do what it takes to be great? Because greatness isn't reserved for a select few. It's earned by those who choose discipline over complacency, day after day. Chapter 12. The power of focus. Mastering one thing at a time in a world filled with distractions. It's easy to feel like you need to be doing 100 things at once. Multitasking has become a badge of honor for many people. But the truth is, it's a productivity killer. The more we split our attention, the less we actually accomplish. Discipline isn't about doing everything. It's about doing one thing with full focus and commitment. Think about the times when you've truly been in the zone, when you've given all your attention to one task, blocking out everything else. The results are different, right? You're more efficient, more creative, and more productive. This is the power of focus. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who are juggling multiple projects at once. They are the ones who can lock in on a single task and give it their undivided attention. They understand that success is built on mastering the art of focus, not spreading yourself thin across too many things. Every time you try to do more than one thing at a time, you're dividing your energy. The key to mastering discipline is understanding that your energy is finite. If you want to go deep, you have to focus on one thing long enough to make real progress. So, the next time you're tempted to multitask, remind yourself, true success doesn't come from being busy. It comes from being focused, from giving your full attention to the task at hand, and seeing it through to completion. Because discipline is not just about doing work, it's about doing the right work with full focus and intention. Chapter 13. The importance of rest. Recharge to achieve more discipline doesn't just mean working harder or longer. It means knowing when to push yourself and when to rest. Too often, we glorify hustle, the idea that success requires relentless, non-stop effort. But here's the truth. Without rest, your discipline will burn out. Rest is just as crucial as work. It's the time when your mind and body recharge, recover, and rebuild. You cannot perform at your highest level if you're constantly running on empty. Think about the world's top athletes. They don't just train, they recover. They understand that in order to improve, they must give their muscles time to heal, their minds space to relax, and their energy the chance to renew. it's the same for you. Without proper rest, your productivity, creativity, and focus begin to decline. Discipline is about balance. Yes, you must push yourself to work hard, but you also need to respect the importance of rest. Overworking leads to exhaustion, which leads to poor decision-making, burnout, and a drop in performance. But when you learn to rest strategically, you allow yourself to come back stronger, more focused, and more capable of sustaining your efforts. So, take the time to rest. Disconnect. Sleep well. Take breaks. You'll find that by allowing yourself to recharge, you'll come back to your work with renewed energy and clarity. Rest isn't the enemy of discipline. It's an essential part of it. Remember, true success isn't about working yourself to the bone. It's about working with purpose, discipline, and enough rest to maintain long-term productivity and well-being. Chapter 14. Setting standards. Not goals. We've all been told to set goals. And while goals are important, there is something even more powerful than simply achieving them. Setting standards. Goals are finite. They have a clear beginning and end. But standards, they are ongoing. They represent the level of quality and commitment you expect from yourself, day in and day out. Standards are what keep you from settling for good enough. When you set a goal, you have something specific to aim for. Once you reach it, the journey ends. But when you set a standard, the journey never stops. Your standard becomes the minimum level of performance you're willing to accept from yourself. It's the bar you aim to raise, not just once, but continuously. For example, let's say your goal is to lose 20 pounds. That's great, but what happens once you reach it? What happens when the goal is accomplished? The standard of maintaining your health, however, continues. It's a lifestyle, not just a target. The difference between those who succeed and those who merely get by is often the quality of their standards. Successful people don't just want to meet their goals. They want to exceed their own expectations. They don't lower their standards to match their effort. They raise their effort to match their standards. If you want to go beyond the ordinary, you must set your sights on the level of excellence you're willing to accept, not just for a moment, but as a consistent practice. Your standards will shape your results. They'll push you to constantly evolve and improve, even when you're not chasing a specific goal. So, stop focusing solely on the finish line. Instead, focus on setting standards that push you to grow and improve every day. Because when you commit to living at a higher level, the results will follow, and they'll last far longer than any single goal ever could. Chapter 15. Overcoming self-doubt. The enemy within one of the greatest obstacles to discipline and success isn't external, it's internal. It's the voice inside your head telling you that you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, that you're destined to fail. This is the power of self-doubt, and it's the silent killer of potential. Self-doubt is normal. Everyone faces it. Even the most successful people struggle with feelings of inadequacy at times. But the difference between those who make it and those who don't is how they respond to that doubt. Instead of letting self-doubt paralyze you, use it as fuel. Every time you feel that voice creeping in, recognize it for what it is. A sign that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. It's a sign that you're doing something worth doing. If you weren't on the verge of growth, you wouldn't feel the doubt. The key to overcoming self-doubt is action. Doubt is a result of inaction. The more you sit and think about how unqualified you are, the more you reinforce those negative beliefs. But when you take action, even small steps, you prove to yourself that you are capable. You create evidence that contradicts the doubt. Remember, Self-doubt is often louder in the moments when you're closest to breaking through. It's the resistance that comes right before success. So don't run from it. Embrace it. Push through it. Take the next step, no matter how small, and watch how the doubt fades the moment you prove it wrong. The voice of self-doubt will always be there. But the disciplined person knows that it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to keep going. And by continuing, you'll silence that voice and prove to yourself that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. Chapter 16. The discipline of saying no. Success isn't just about what you choose to do. It's also about what you choose not to do. The ability to say no is a powerful skill that separates the disciplined from the distracted. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention. There are always opportunities, requests, and distractions pulling us in 100 different directions. But here's the harsh truth. You can't do everything, and you can't say yes to everyone without sacrificing your own focus and growth. The disciplined person understands that saying no is a form of self-respect. It's a way of protecting their time, energy, and focus. When you say no to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you are making space for the things that matter most. Saying no isn't always easy, especially when it comes to social pressures or opportunities that seem exciting on the surface. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you're saying no to your own progress. Think about it this way. The more you say yes to things that don't move you towards your goals, the further you get from your true potential. Saying no isn't about being rude or closing doors. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. It's about making sure that every action you take, every decision you make, aligns with your vision of success. The most successful people are not the ones who say yes to everything. They're the ones who know how to say no, and in doing so they clear the path for what truly matters. So, get comfortable with saying no. It's not a rejection of others. It's a commitment to your own growth. Every time you say no, you make space for something better. And that's the discipline that will keep you moving forward, no matter how many distractions come your way. Chapter 17. The courage to start is often the hardest part of any journey. The idea of taking that first step can be intimidating, overwhelming even. The fear of failure, the uncertainty of the path ahead, and the unknowns all combine to create a mental block that can keep you stuck in inaction. But the truth is, the hardest part isn't where you're going. It's getting stuck. Discipline isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about finding the courage to start even when you don't have everything figured out. The first step is always the most difficult, but it's also the most crucial. You can spend all your time planning, thinking, and analyzing, but none of that will get you closer to your goal until you take that initial leap. Starting gives you momentum. It turns your vision from an idea into something tangible. Remember, no one starts with everything in place. Every successful person began with uncertainty. They didn't wait until they felt ready. They took action despite their doubts, despite their fears. They trusted that the process would guide them, even when the path wasn't clear. Starting doesn't require perfection. It requires courage. Courage to face the discomfort, to step into the unknown, and to trust that you can figure things out along the way. You don't need all the answers now. You just need to begin. So, what's holding you back? Fear? Doubt? The best way to overcome those obstacles is to move through them. Start today. Take the first step, no matter how small, and watch how momentum begins to carry you forward. Because the moment you start, you're no longer just dreaming, you're doing. Chapter 18. The Power of Small Wins. We often look at success in terms of big, grand achievements. We think that to truly make progress, we need massive breakthroughs or monumental victories. But in reality, success is built on a series of small wins. Consistent, incremental progress that adds up over time. The mistake most people make is thinking they need to see huge results immediately. They get discouraged when the change doesn't happen overnight, and they quit too soon. The truth is, every small action, every minor improvement is a victory. These small wins are the building blocks of greater success. When you're trying to build something, whether it's a business, a skill, or even a habit, the first few steps seem insignificant. But over time, those steps begin to accumulate, creating a foundation for something much bigger. Each small win reinforces your discipline and keeps you moving forward, even when the results don't seem immediate. It's easy to overlook the small victories, but when you start recognizing them, you'll see just how much progress you're actually making. Whether it's writing a page, finishing a workout, or making a difficult decision, each of these things is a step toward your goal. And each one is worth celebrating. By focusing on small wins, you keep your motivation high and your momentum going. These wins prove to yourself that progress is happening, even when it feels slow. They build your confidence, keep you disciplined, and remind you that success isn't about one giant leap. It's about the steady, consistent steps you take along the way. So, start paying attention to the small victories. Celebrate them. Recognize how far they're taking you. Because in the end, it's not the big wins that matter most. It's the small ones that, over time, lead to everything else. Chapter 19. The role of accountability in discipline. Discipline can be difficult to maintain on your own. It's easy to fall off track, to skip that workout, to procrastinate on a project, or to give in to distraction. This is where accountability becomes a game changer. Having someone to answer to, whether it's a mentor, a friend, or even a team, adds an extra layer of commitment to your efforts. It's not about someone watching you every step of the way. It's about knowing that someone else cares about your progress, and that you'll be held accountable for the promises you make. When we're accountable to others, we show up differently. We're less likely to make excuses, and we're more likely to push through the tough days, because we know someone is depending on us to follow through. That's the power of accountability. It forces us to be more disciplined by holding us to a higher standard. But accountability doesn't just come from others. It also comes from within. When you set clear goals and make a commitment to yourself, you're holding yourself accountable. You create a personal standard of integrity that requires you to show up for yourself, even when no one else is watching. The key is to choose accountability partners wisely. Surround yourself with people who will challenge you, support you, and push you to keep going, especially when it gets hard. Find people who share similar goals or who understand the importance of discipline and commitment. Accountability helps you stay focused. It forces you to keep your promises. And, more importantly, it reinforces your belief in your own ability to succeed. Because when you're committed to being accountable, you're not just answering to someone else, you're answering to your own potential. Chapter 20. The importance of adaptability. While consistency and focus are essential, the most disciplined people also know the value of adaptability. Success doesn't always follow a straight path. The ability to adapt to changing circumstances is just as crucial as the ability to stay focused on your goals. No matter how well you plan, Things will go wrong. There will be setbacks, unexpected obstacles, and moments when the plan you've worked so hard on simply doesn't work out. In those moments, discipline isn't about stubbornly sticking to a failing plan. It's about the flexibility to adjust, learn, and keep moving forward. Adaptability means being able to pivot when necessary. It means having the mental agility to assess the situation, identify a new course of action, and stay focused on the end goal, regardless of the detours along the way. Whether it's learning a new skill, adjusting your strategy, or simply rethinking your approach, adaptability allows you to turn challenges into opportunities. Think of some of the most successful people you know. They didn't get to where they are by avoiding change. They got there by embracing it. They constantly reassess their strategies, adjust their plans, and evolve with the time. Discipline is the foundation, but adaptability is the secret ingredient that makes it sustainable. In a world that is constantly changing, you can't control every variable, but you can control how you respond to them. So while you stay committed to your goals, be prepared to adapt when needed. Flexibility doesn't weaken your discipline, it strengthens it. And with the right balance of consistency and adaptability, you'll continue to grow and succeed, no matter what life throws your way.